Jerry inspired, very special guest, very talented animator. He's animated for Marvel, for Dreamworks, for a lot of other things, Amazon. And I wanted to talk to him for years. Finally got a chance to bring him on. This is Ben Lee. And in fact, if you guys follow Fight Commentary Breakdowns, he's the one that designed my intro. So Ben, welcome.
Hi everyone. Good to be here.
So let's talk about what is on screen right now.
What I'm doing right now is I had an idea to draw while I get interviewed. So so it's fun for me, and I don't have to like just talk all the time and gets my brain going.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So what's here is I read this series of science fiction by Dan Simmons. It's called the Hyperion Candles. I was so into the story, I decided to draw out all the characters that are in the story.
Oh.
Yeah. So sometimes I've been reading a lot, and this is something it gets my creativity going instead of just focusing on work-related things.
What exactly is Hyperion?
Hyperion is a story about these couple of pilgrims going on a journey to find out why they're going on a journey because they're not sure why they're chosen. And the story goes much deeper in the world of Hyperion. It's a science fiction novel, and there are 4 books. So the storytelling is kind of unconventional. That it focuses on 6 main characters, and each of them tells their own tale. So most of the time, it's just the character is just like one main character, and everyone revolve around that character, right? So, but these characters all have their own tale, and each of the story has a different genre in the sci-fi world. So that's why I'm interested.
Let's start from the beginning. How did you get into animation?
To tell you the truth, wasn't doing too well in school, and I was playing a lot of video games. And the more video game I play, one of the influences was Final Fantasy, right? And every time I play that game, I see these in-game cutscenes, and me and my family like, "Wow, look at that spaceship flying around!" Or the guy with the giant sword swinging, right? It's like when you grow up as a kid, these things it's really simple, but the sense of imagination that you can create these worlds and they don't exist in real life, right? So that's one of the things that got me into animation. Second one is watching a lot of animation, especially the anime stuff. I didn't get into anime until later in high school or in college, right? And the first time I saw Akira or Ghost in the Shell, it was so mind blowing. I didn't get that. I didn't see it until I got into animation school. So my art, I think when I started in China, there was a lot of there's art colleges, but they are more focused on fine art stuff, right? Less on creative original art. It's more or less the like drawing still lives, painting landscapes, and things like that, right? Painting landscapes.
I
So
see.
my mom would bring me to this art college on her little scooter. I'll sit in the front, and the teacher is super strict. It's like because I started there's the painting and then there's the pencil drawing. So a lot of cross hatching, if you're familiar with that technique, where it's basically rendering a circle and you do this as I'm doing on the screen. So that's a technique called cross hatching, right? And and did lots of copying and like copying still lives. Like the teacher will put like a cube in front of us, and everyone sits and there's a light source and just like draw this stupid cube for an hour. Or other time you'll be like painting still lives too. Like my mom brings home a piece of watermelon, and I had to paint the watermelon before I can eat it. And by the time I can eat it, it's already like super warm. It's not even good anymore.
So you started your animation journey in China.
There wasn't much animation. It's really primitive, the
Mhm.
animation where I grew up. Now they're like super advanced and catching up to the West or
Yeah.
even on equal part. When I was in the shows I grew up watching, there's like this cat detective show. I don't know.
黑猫警长.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
remember that one, right?
Yeah.
And then there's also the what you call it? You know these brothers that
Yeah. 舒
born
克与
out
贝
of
塔. 葫
the
芦娃. 葫芦
yeah
娃.
yeah
Yeah. The
yeah
Gord
yeah
brothers. Yeah. The
yeah
Gord
yeah.
brothers.
And the youngest one turned evil, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that. I have to find the series and watch it again
Yeah.
somewhere on the internet. Yeah, so those two were the really, and then there's anime that's super violent and totally inappropriate for kids, which I watched was
Mm.
Fist of the North Star. Oh, and then there's also a Saint Seiya. You know what? I retract. I was watching anime when I was a kid, but when I come to America, it was like I stopped watching these and then I got back into it again. So that was fun.
I see. And did you come to America for college or afterwards?
I think came here. My dad got relocated for
Oh.
work, so he just tried to bring all of us in, and I think I started in sixth grade. Sixth grade, yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense. So we went to school for a few years, both of us in China. I see. That makes sense. So you got a lot of Chinese culture in you too that I didn't even realize.
Yeah, but now the country is really different.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah,
that,
what we saw in the 90s and stuff is not representative at all of what China is now.
yep, very different.
So right now you're doing what's called 1 point perspective, right?
Yeah, it's a one
Mhm.
point perspective, and try to. I was studying architecture a little bit
Mhm.
for one of my classes. So I both teach and I study on the side at the same time. So I'm a student and a teacher. Uh,
Mhm. Wow. So when did you get your first animation gig?
I think I got it while I was in college. So I needed the money to buy supplies, and as a TA, I got to get to know the apartment manager at the time, who is still my friend, and he said like, hey, can you animate this? For he runs the this thing called Animation Block Party. It's a indie animation festival in New York City or on the East Coast. So I was doing a little flash animation at the time.
Mm.
So I did a little intro for the festival. It's a pretty goofy one. I wasn't I was really into the serious anime, but sometimes the jobs have you do something really silly. So I'm like, you know what, this could be a fun little thing anyway. So that was my very first job. Like the first paycheck I got was like, oh my God, I have $1,000. I feel like I can buy all the stuff I never had. That was pretty fun.
Wow, that's amazing. So, you were TAing. What was your major in college?
You know what's funny is a fun story. As I mentioned earlier, I wanted to do like the CG cutscenes, right? So I put down animation for college, but the program was 2D animation. I should have put down
Oh,
computer graphics, but instead I got into the 2D department, and then they had us drawing on paper. Okay.
wow. So, did you eventually study 3D or are you mostly doing 2D?
I was mostly doing 2D. I did take one class in the 3D program. It was so tedious and technical and boring. The whole time I was just like clicking buttons, clicking dots. Like I could have just draw this in 5 minutes instead of having to clicking all these polygons and stuff. So I didn't have that much interest. What I really wanted to do was cinematics, which is what I'm doing now. So eventually I found my path that led to this point. So what I do professionally is storyboard artist. Okay, I sometimes it's hard to describe what that really it means. right? So like sometimes the people just ask me like, "Hey Ben, so what do you do?" I just tell them, "Yeah, I just draw cartoons, man." But reality is like it's very complex if I really describe it in full detail. So maybe this time I can just like actually tell people what I do, even the casual viewers. Okay. Like most of the shows you see on TV is done by a group, several groups of
Several
people,
groups. Yeah.
several groups of people, and they can be several groups of people in different studios.
Yeah.
There's the sound people, there's the editing department, right? And then there's the actual production people who actually like draw every frame. There's a color department, there's a design department, there's the writing people, and then the producers have to put all these people together and make sure the show gets done on time within budget and all that stuff. So that's just like an overall. Uh, what I do is I work in the art department. I take the script. Someone's the director and the producer and the showrunner gave us a script for the episode, and I get a section. Like you get a whole pie, right? Everyone take a slice, so you don't stuff yourself. So I take this part of the script, I read it, and I decide uh, what kind of shot that scene what that section of the script might look like, right? So what I'm drawing now, this could be like a wide establishing shot and two the guys like standing around, right? These are
Hmm.
all shots of like a futuristic city or something, right?
Hmm.
That could be like a establishing shot, right? And the script might tell you something like I was working on Transformer. They go exterior, Icon City, Cybertron, Homeworld, whatever, and then the script cut to like interior or something, Avenger base, and then the characters are sitting there and all moody and talk. So that's kind of stuff I have to. I basically do the reverse of what the writers do. They put pictures into words, and I reverse the words back into pictures. And sometimes they kind of match to what the writers thought. Other times they don't. Other times, like I might have a better idea, and then they don't know what their shows might look like until they see a picture like this, right? So sometimes they go, "Oh yeah, this is really good." Other times they have a different direction. So most of the stuff I do is like making a little blueprint for the artist to follow, right? So because I did both animation and storyboarding. Animators are like the guys who actually build the house for you, and storyboard artists and writers is the people who come up with the blueprint and the architecture
Yeah.
design. Okay, so
That's a great description. I love it.
yep, yep. So I do a lot of comparison to building houses, everything from exercising to drawing. Okay. Uh, did that answer your question?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think another phrase I'll repeat what you said is you turn the words of the script into pictures. I love that description of basically that's the blueprint you give. It's like, okay, well, the scene says this. Let me try to give a few frames to show the people who are going to build it, aka the animators. Okay, this is what we're looking for. And then there is going to be some feedback. You and the script people are going to have to talk it out a little bit. Do they usually go with what you go with, or is it like, do you guys defer to a director or
Oh,
someone, or is
we
it?
talked the art department and the storyboard artist. We talked to the director who is the lead
Mhm,
storyboard artist in the sense that because everyone can create shots, right?
mhm.
But when they all put together, is it coherent to the storytelling, right? Does it reflect what the direction the script wants to go? It could be a totally serious scene, but you didn't read it in the script, and then you misrepresented in the visual, and that's why things can be a little problematic, and then you have to restructure your storytelling. So the director is someone who provides direction for the team, and then hey, let's make this thing a little bit longer. It's not just a the guy. let's make it more serious or give it some more screen time to emphasize certain point, right? Like when I was teaching storyboarding, because I teach on the side too, a lot of time I had to explain what I do and why I do what I do. So that was a interesting learning experience for me as well. So when I teach storyboards, one of the student turning this scene, and this lady with a gun just walk into a room and just kick the door down and then try to like investigate a dark room, right? So I explained, hey, you know what? It's like when you just see someone across the street, you don't really know what they're doing and what they're thinking, right? They're just doing something across the street. But if you put like a few shots of like close up, she's like sweating, she's like looking around, then she reached down to her gun, and then she like take a small steps toward the door and take a breath. And it's like windstorm outside. Then you create drama and mood, and then that's how instead of just kicking the door down right away, then you give the audience tension, right? So this is something I have to think about, and it's what makes the job interesting and challenging. Even the simplest script can be uh, misinterpreted, and other time even the smallest details can be missed. So it's my job to pick out these nuances and then put it onto visual display.
Yeah, I love what you said because when you start learning how to tell stories from a movie or visual perspective, they usually give you the 3 act structure, which is a way to think about the long story, the full story, the entire episode of a TV or the entire movie. But every scene should have a little bit of a structure too. And that's something that you're emphasizing. Every
Mhm.
scene should have a little bit of a build up. Okay, it might have a payoff or it might have something or it might drive you to the next scene.
Mhm.
So that's something very important that sometimes it takes people like you to translate.
Oh, definitely. You have to read the. I have. It's not just reading what happened in the script. You also have to read the subtext of the thing, right? So it's like, is it a serious thing? Is it a funny thing? What's the scenario? There's like what needs to happen, and then how do you make that happen in a dramatic or invoke some kind of emotion, right? The last thing you want to do is just watch things happen on screen, but you don't feel anything as the audience. There are movies that did absolutely nothing for me when I just watch things happen, but I don't feel any of the characters. So people want to be entertained at the end of the day. They're not trying to get lectured, and they don't want you to force certain philosophy on them. I mean, there are like French New Wave movies and then Criterion Collection stuff that actually have a message. But at the end of the day, people want to be entertained,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. So when did you move to LA?
I think in 2018, when I just graduated. A month later, I got an internship at this place called Titmouse Studio. The name is super funny, and I was like, what studio do you work at? Titmouse? It's a bird. It's a blue little bird. Okay. Yeah, so that 2018, I graduated on the East Coast. And then a month later, I was looking for an internship at a smaller studio. They saw me that in my demo reel, I showed them that I can draw hands. It's only 5 fingers, but it's the most basic stuff. And then I can animate semi okay. And then so they give me a little test, try to draw something on model. The phrase on model means they have a standard for what the character look like, right? Can you make your drawing the same as the design? So that's the phrase called being drawing on model. Because if everyone draws this character differently, then it's not very consistent. And part of being a professional artist is make sure all your work is consistent all the time, like on the job. You have to do it good, do it on time, and be fast. So all 3 things need to, because when you're drawing for fun, you're just drawing whatever you want. right? But drawing for work is what the client wants. So you can't just go, hey, I want it to look like this, but the client who's paying your salary wants something else, and then you had to hit the mark.
I see. So you're at Titmouse, and then how long were you there?
5 years, I would
Oh
say.
wow! So it went from an internship to a full time.
Yeah. I was like taking small jobs here and there, and then there was it's not the most consistent job, like someone's working in an auto shop or at the dentist's office, right? There's always people who wants their tires repaired, or someone needs to get their teeth cleaned, right? Right now it's pretty bad, but at the time there were like small commercials. Anything between commercials, and then there's like trailers, and then there's like TV shows, or even like video game trailers. That was pretty fun.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay, so you were there for 5 years,
yep.
and then what did you do after that?
Think I landed a gig at Nickelodeon on
Oh,
the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 3D one. Now they're going back to being 2D again. But at that time, it was like the 3D show. It was the toys were selling like hotcakes. So that was a really good learning experience. I went from a 2D animator on a sitcom to a 3D action show, which was a definitely a trying learning experience. And the funny part is sometimes create it's not the artists that did a job bad, but it's just certain creative differences. And eventually, I was let go on the studio because of creative decisions, right? So, like sometimes you can draw something and it works, but it's not what the client visualized themselves, right? Even though what you have works and people on your team like, yeah, that looks good, but the person in charge doesn't agree with your decision, and then I was let go from the show after I worked at like 3 seasons, which is pretty good at today's standard. You'll be lucky if you have like 3 months of steady gig. So yeah, but at that time it was really fun. I get to meet a bunch of people, and then get to learn a lot on the job, and not have to worry about where to putting food on the table.
yeah.
So
And did you guys? So there, did you have to use Maya?
I think it was the 3D show. Sometimes what I do, since I'm just drawing scenes and shots, right? Uh, it's mostly 2D, but the
Mm,
design is in 3D. So we
okay.
did have a 3D model for the set pieces. Like this would be like a 3D model, right? And
Mhm,
then we just like pick the camera angle and then put the shots in there.
mhm.
Okay. This fabric could be more torn. Anyway.
So I mean, that's awesome. You basically spent 3 seasons at Nickelodeon doing their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. As you started at Titmouse, you then went to Nickelodeon. How did your sort of understanding of animation or storyboarding or all of that, how did it evolve, or did it evolve?
Uh, I think, yeah, because sometimes in the beginning you're just walking in the dark. You didn't understand the more efficient way to do something, and you just like do the best you can because you're really new, right? So I was doing that for a while, just but what helped was seeing what my colleagues were doing and asking a lot of questions. Most of the learning is done on the job, because when you are a student in college, you're only as good as your best classmates, right? Maybe one or two people already know how to draw when they get started learning in your class. There's always that one person who's already done like years ahead of everyone else, right? But for me, when I started in college, I didn't know what style I wanted, what I liked, right? So a lot of the learning is done on the job. And one thing I learned, even if you get fired, unless you can get hired again. Okay. I have a joke that if you is I joke that if you miss a deadline or didn't do a good job, you end up in animation jail when no one hires you. But honestly, there's always something. If you have one thing that you do that's better than most people, you can find somebody that was going to pay you to do that one thing that you are really good at. And for me, it was animating action sequences.
Oh.
Okay, so I lasted a long time in Titmouse because most of the animators are drawing really silly cartoon stuff, right? Like paper cutout animation, or just circles and squares. And I didn't like that at all. I want to draw, I want to draw action and then draw the cool stuff. It's like saying being a 3-year-old. They draw whatever they want that they think looks cool, right? And then, but on a professional level, you just have to do it more consistently and then very do it by their rules. Like you can't do this, you have to do this, right? But at the same time, just try to keep that creative drive going. Because if you don't like what you do, then you won't have the motivation or the aspiration to keep doing. You just get bored and get like, I don't want to do this anymore. It doesn't feel good, or I don't feel any kind of uh, reward from the process. Right? It's the process that's fun, not necessarily the end product sometimes. And but like if you have fun drawing it, the end goal is gonna turn out good anyway because you actually put effort and passion into it, right? But like on the job, my boss would come to me one day like, but I put love in my work. That well, love doesn't pay the bills, and then she just walked off. I'm like, dang, that was pretty that was pretty funny. So yeah, love doesn't pay the bills, but without it, you won't be doing it anyway, right? So
Yeah, exactly. So after Nickelodeon, where did you go after that?
I think after Nickelodeon ended, I got picked up by Marvel.
That's where I met you. So when I met you, you were just around that time. Okay, now I see when I met you in your journey.
Yep, yep. So that's where I met you at one of the screenings. I forgot which movie was it.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, there we go, there we go. So at the same time, the Marvel Animation, before they have Marvel Studio, now they mix the two together. There's like Marvel Studio, but back then there was a separate entity from Disney, right across the street from the Disney campus was the Marvel Animation uh, building, and I was there for a little over 2 years. Right? They were doing a bunch of TV shows from Spider-Man to Guardian of the Galaxy to like Hulk, Planet Hulk or whatever. They had a Hulk show, then they had a Black Panther show. I think that was like the prime years of the Marvel franchise, and everyone's just before they had the superhero fatigue, right? before when it first came out, I was like, oh my god, it looks so dope, and everyone just take my money. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that happened for a while.
And you did the for the Black Panther show, the animated show, you did the intro, right? The intro sequence for the Black Panther show.
Oh yeah, that's right. While I was at Titmouse, somebody had an idea to bring the comic book to life. I can actually show you the thing. Let's see. So there was like a comic book based Black Panther TV series based off the John Romita, I think that's the name, comic book style. And we did the animation and the intro. So I didn't just animate on the intro. I also worked on the series,
Oh, wow.
the intro that I worked on. Or I animate. Yeah, the fine motorcycle. So yeah, that's the intro for the first Marvel thing I did. Okay.
How long does that intro take for your department or for the entire sequence?
I'm not sure. I think the whole 1 minute. There was like a lot of motion graphics, and also there's like animation from the actual show that they inserted into the actual intro. So sometimes they, I think that jumping part where he flips around, that took me a whole week to do, and
Wow.
that was slow. Now it probably take me like 2 days, probably 2, 3 days at most, 3 days at most. Yeah. So that's yeah, sometimes it takes a long time to be efficient at drawing and then make the movement work because like when you're starting, you don't know what the body look like with flipping in the air, right? So that was fun. And then they like, hey, Bang, you're pretty good at action stuff, right? Let's give you more action stuff. So that's all I did was action stuff. And as an animator, you're basically the guy who put together the house, right? But eventually, I wanted the guy who designed the house, and I started branching off to other things like storyboarding. And the first show I boarded on was this comedy show. And for me, it was like a whole different world, right? It's like action stuff and then there's comedy stuff. You like went straight from animating people flipping and jumping into the air to a show that's kind of like Seinfeld, but King of the Hill style, right? Uh, Yeah, so that was a whole different learning curve, but it's very interesting. I almost got fired at the beginning because like I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Okay, and then eventually I figured it out. I just had to pay attention in meetings and can't be like, oh yeah, I'm just big shot animator. But no, you had to keep your head keep your head down and then pay attention and learn how to do your job. Otherwise, if there's like a big ego involved, it's no good for anybody. Okay. So anyway, what am I doing? Just drawing some characters. Go back. So, what's the question again?
We were just naturally talking about the progression, and I think the progression right now is, so you went from Marvel animation and then you went to do comedy, and so
Yeah.
part of it was, okay, I was at Marvel and I was at Nickelodeon before, right? So like learning to just be like, okay, well, this is comedy, I still need a lot to learn because it's
Oh
different,
yeah, it's
right?
very different.
That's what
Very
you
different.
learn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now that I'm teaching storyboarding, I kind of understand the differences in the nuance of storytelling. But back then, I just didn't know any better. So there was definitely a lot of learning curve, but if you stick with it, you're gonna and you enjoy the process. Of course, it's challenging, and there's times it's like nerve-wracking. It's like work till 6 in the morning, and then the meeting for your pitch is in 3 hours.
Wow.
And I tell my students, like, I give them 1 page of script to practice, right? I give them a whole week. And I tell them sometime on the job, you only get an hour to revise everything.
Wow.
And then the client wants it done right away. And it was like, oh my God, a whole only an hour.
Share your screen. Let's see what
Oh, that's
what
right.
the picture's at
Oh my
now.
God.
Because Ben and I have only talked for a few minutes. Let's see the progression of his, because we're talking about 1 hour turnarounds, right? Let's see what he's drawn since.
Oh, I'm just
Okay,
doing
you just
some
added
architect.
detail. I
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
What's interesting, Ben, is that the first official storyboarding thing you did, it was also on a type of format you weren't familiar with, right? Like in an ideal world, you would have started as a storyboard artist on an action show, but you started doing storyboarding on a comedy show.
Oh yeah. Because
Yeah.
you don't get to choose. But if you want to learn something different, you just have to jump into the water to learn how to swim, right? So the
Yeah.
phrase goes.
Yeah. And so, okay, you ended up surviving this first storyboarding gig.
Yep.
What was the next storyboarding gig?
I think that the comedy show was before the turtle stuff happened. So
Oh,
that's after that show done. I showed my work to the next boss, and then they go, "Hey, this guy can do comedy, which is
uh,
actually more important than action, because anybody who can draw cool poses can work in action. But if you don't know the camera work and staging and all that technical stuff and stuff storytelling, then you're very limited to your capabilities, right? Because the Turtle Show was both an action and a comedy show,
yeah,
action
makes
comedy
sense.
show, right? So they're looking for someone who can do both, and I happen to have a little bit of comedy experience under my belt, and I got hired on Facebook, which is super odd at the time. The whole hiring process, it's not what you think it is. It's not the same they show you on LinkedIn. As a matter of fact, most of the time that I apply a job on LinkedIn, I never get picked up. I never succeed in getting the job. It's always somebody recommended me to somebody, and then they see my work, like, oh yeah, he's good. Let's get him.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a pre-approval process
Yep.
on the people who know somebody who knows somebody,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Wow. So that night I met you, you guys were doing the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 show, or the crew appreciation, right? That was the party. And then we became friends. We started hanging out. What were you doing around the time? Because I think very, very soon after that, you moved on, right? Was that around the time you went to Dreamworks, or was that a little bit
Oh
afterward?
yeah, after Marvel, I started working at Dreamworks,
Uh-huh.
and I was still feeling like a newbie that walked into a big studio, right? Because I started as a small studio, then first time walking into a big studio, and my colleagues was like a floor above me. I was like, I feel like I'm the intern again. Oh my God, Dreamworks! Look at this giant building, and look at all these fancy offices. Because all I did was like working in cubicle, and that was the first time I actually get a room, with a door and a window. I'll take the window seat. That was like a big upgrade for me because it was always just like cubicle in the dark in the middle of nowhere, and then you finally get your own room. And it was like I shared the room with like two other people, and sometimes it was just me late night. But it was nice. It was nice. You finally get more room. We used to decorate the heck out of our stations. Artists like to decorate a lot. They like bring the toys and posters and whatnot, right? It's very opposite of a corporate office when you can only like bring a plant to work. So yeah, DreamWorks was like a whole different experience. They were doing Voltron upstairs, and I was working on this show called People downstairs. So every once in a while, I'll go up there, and then like the people I admire and look up to, and they all work upstairs. So I just like sometime after hours and try to bug them and try to get advice from them because they're like my seniors. Because you work in the studio and then you go all your separate ways, right? and then at one point or another, you kind of meet each other at the same work again. Maybe on the same show, other time on different shows. But if you are working in the same studio, it's like, hey, how you doing? It's just like haven't seen somebody in a long time, and then we get to rekindle your uh, team with your former teammates, right? So that was fun.
And that's a great segue. What
Yeah.
do animators do when they're not animating? Like, do you guys go party? Do you guys just get together, talk about animation? What is the day in the life outside of animation of an animator?
Oh yeah, yeah. So there's the whole geek culture that's very popular now. Like you see, but at the time, I think it was like it wasn't just what they do, but it's like common interest, right? Some people like to just there are people who draw animation, but when they go off work, they don't do anything art related because they don't want to get away from that. And then there's other group of people that's all they ever want to talk about is animation, animation, or like did you see this show? Did you see that show? And so they basically live that life as an artist like 24/7 a week, right? And for a time, it was cool because I was really into it, and every day we're sharing different things that we see in the meeting rooms, and then hey, check this out, and pull up YouTube and watch some funny, goofy clip or something really good, and I'm like, hey, this animation looks dope, and I'm like study the material. It's like people who are professional fighters, right? They watch clips as part of their job, right? The how to fight. But as artists, we watch animations to actually study how to animate the movement, right? So for a time, it was like watching anime a lot during and after work. I would just be at the studio all the time. I didn't have any other in, pursuit except maybe video games. I was playing a lot of video games, but then it wasn't really healthy. But a lot of artists' lifestyle, to put it bluntly, is drawing, video games, beer and pizza. And then on the weekend, they might get a group of friends together. Maybe they go rock climbing as it's one of these animation artists outside outdoor activity. They like rock climbing for some reason. And then other people will go on to form like Dungeons and Dragons board games. That's another big thing. People artists like board games, and then they like playing Dungeons and Dragons, and then drawing fan art of their Dungeons and Dragon experience. So it comes full circle back, right? I think you had to do a lot with imagination, right? Because you're playing Dungeons and Dragon and you're kind of imagining the scenario without any source of reference except you when you roll the dice and then it's like fireball failed. Oh no, right? A character died and then you're like, oh no, my character died, right? So that's one lifestyle. Other people they like Warhammer. That's another thing. You know that it's like a hobby. It's like a very dedicated hobby. People who are into like Warhammer, they don't just buy the pieces. They actually like paint them like meticulously, spend hours and hours painting like a tiny little figurine, right? And then they don't just do that. They build the whole set like a thing. Like they meticulously put together the grass and then painted the walls. And so that's another creative outlet for artists. Also building model kits, something they also do. I did that for a while, so that was fun. Like yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Warhammer because I found out about that niche the first time. So shout out Guildhall. I was at Guildhall in Florida when I was commentating a fight show, and I saw in Guildhall it's a big like gaming lounge, and in
Uh-huh.
there they had for sale all these Warhammer little things. And I
Uh,
now I know before you told me, now I know it's like people will take it, paint it, like really treat they're really good figurines. So that's pretty cool. That's really cool.
yep, it's very dedicated because you can't just like put a blotch of paint on it. You have to like pay attention to the detail. It's really a craftsmanship of craft thing that you develop through lots of practice and fail. So that's something artists like to do, like dedicate their time to a specific craft that's in line with their personal interest, right? So
Yeah, exactly. So you went to DreamWorks, and then when did you start? Can you talk about that Doritos commercial you showed me that time?
Doritos commercial?
Yeah, the kaiju one.
Oh, you mean the Taco Bell
Yeah,
commercial?
Taco Bell. Sorry, my bad. Taco Bell. Yeah, not Doritos. Taco Bell.
It was the funniest job I've ever had. It was the nacho fries. Okay, let me bring that up. It's called Fry Force. And I was like, wow, I've never done a commercial for Taco Bell before. This is the first one. Okay, that Black Panther intro song was super catchy, right? It was like it's like Nigerian anime or something. Taco Bell space Fry Force. That's what it was called. Fry Force. Share my screen. Oh yeah, that's one. You already found it. I don't know.
I know what it's like to lose something you love.
It's
It
crazy
eats at
you
me
did this.
every day. And I won't let it happen again. Every time nacho fries came back, that warm nacho cheese sauce was drawing something closer to the surface.
So, what's your story?
Guess I'm just hungry.
For what?
Hope.
Order up!
I'm getting fried here! This is
Right
our
here.
world, and these are our Mexican spices. Cosque. So either we fight together, or we fry alone.
Okay, so it knows its target audience very well, right? And so yeah, it's like one of these shows that try to the character try to take themselves super serious, but
Yeah.
it's a comedy, right? So the writers definitely did their job.
And how long did it take you to animate this one, or did you
Oh,
storyboard
I
it?
did some storyboarding. I
Okay.
did a part. There was supposed to be a part when the one of the nacho fries sunk under the water, and it was like a scene on Godzilla when the fry fell in the foreground, and then the shadow loomed behind, and the eye opened, and then the part when the giant shadow came over the dude on the float thing, right? And then the wave washed over the entire beach. So in the beginning, it was just people eating nacho cheese fries, enjoying themselves on the beach. It was like every scene, there's this anime girl eating the fry, and her face going, oh, I was like super anime stuff. And then there was another dude on the floater just eating the fry, and then the Godzilla comes. So that's the direction they went for. Obviously, a lot of the scenes get changed toward the end, but I'm glad it came out good. Okay, and then when everyone was like freaking out, oh my god, where's the TV show at the start? It was just like a goofy little commercial. Yeah. So the turnaround for a commercial storyboard is same day. You get to turn in your boards in the morning, you get a meeting in the noon, and then you get to revise it in 2-3 hours and like, hey, is it done? And then you turn in and then you can go goof off or whatever, right? Sometimes you can the amount of work only requires what 2-3 hours to do, but that 2-3 hours is just like it's like sprinting to get it done, and then you can yeah. So it's
For
very.
that 1 minute commercial, how many drawings did you do for the storyboard?
I think I did like 50 to 50 panels, maybe 50 panels.
So 50 panels, and then the revisions.
Yeah, I
So
think
you
they
did
gave
two
me
sets of 50.
that job. They gave me a little less than a week to do because there were other storyboard artists. Because the client keep changing their mind, right? There was no real written script. They keep changing their mind, so you have to keep revising, and then you submit it right away. And then the producer, hey, check this out. Is it what you want? Like, no, I like this. I don't like this. I like this. Change this, and then you send back, hey, make this changes. So we got to like sometimes do like 2 meetings in the same day, try to make the client happy and get what they want. Right. Yeah, there was another commercial. There was what's that popular phone game? Castle Crasher or something?
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Or something else. Yeah, they made a YouTube show about like taking over castles. I forgot what the name of it, but there was another commercial for that, and that was
Wow.
really, it was like they only gave me a whole hour to revise everything, and I had to like get it done immediately. The work itself, it wasn't that complicated. It just the time is uh, super tight on schedule. Yeah. So
I see a Castle Crashers that's for Xbox 360 / PlayStation, and oh yeah, it's for OS now too.
Flash of something.
Oh,
Flash of let me see.
Clash
Like
of Clans.
yeah, Clash of Clans Christmas commercial.
Whoa, wow! I have neighbors back in Santa Monica that played Clash of Clans. Whoa, you did one of their commercials. That's so cool.
Christmas commercial.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, that's it. And that is the one Clash of Clans Christmas commercial.
Wow. Which year?
Ah, a long time ago.
Okay, because
Now
there's quite a few Christmas commercials, it looks
yeah,
like.
it's a 3D one. I think it was like
Oh,
2 years. Santa Hog Rider saves the Clashmas. I see.
wow. We'll have to find that later.
Oh, actually, I think I found it.
Okay.
I will send you the link.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, that's so cool, dude. One of my neighbors plays Clash of Clans like all the time.
Uh-huh.
That's so cool. Oh, it's this one. I left the group. I had a group for my Santa Monica building, but since I'm not there anymore, I left. I just didn't want to be in the group anymore. Else I would have shared this there. They would have loved it. But I'll send it to them separately.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, so this is the one. Clash of Clans.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. 3-dimensional. I see. And so you storyboarded this.
Yeah, some segments of it.
Uh-huh. Wow.
I think it was like the later parts.
Wow. 1-day turnaround, huh?
Pretty much.
Wow. I've never played Clash of Clans, but now I kind of want to play. So I guess that's an evil character.
Really, yeah. Basically, entire village got snowed in or something. They don't know what to do except all they know is how to battle each other for no reason.
Mhm. Nice. A similar game by this company called Brawl Stars. I used to play Brawl Stars, so I can see how Clash of Clans has certain similarities, at least in the style of their character design. Oh, that's cute. It's like a heartwarming commercial.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Oh, they have the different. That's cool. I just wish that under the description they would list out all the people that worked on it. Wouldn't that be great?
Speaking of credits, sometimes you work on a show and then they forget your credit in the credit, and that was such a bummer. And that happened to me, I think, twice. But you know what? It's all water under the bridge now.
My roommate droned a Netflix show that came out this year, and it was the same thing. It was written in the contract to like put them in the credit, and they didn't. So
Yeah.
I'll have to check with my roommate to see if they ever called or talked to them and be like, yo, what's going on?
I need compensation for my emotional damage.
Exactly.
Emotional.
So
pain.
can we talk a little bit about your work on Invincible, or is that more like you can't talk about that right now?
As long as it's not story
Okay.
questions, I can tell you what it's like working on the.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So no story, no spoilers. What is it like working on Invincible?
The schedule is actually a lot more relaxed than some of the because they have a better budget,
Uh-huh.
bigger staff. Okay. But at the same time, the script pages were a lot more complex than the typical like action stuff, right?
Mhm.
There's a lot like the reason why the show is successful because they mix a lot of the serious drama. They have writers who wrote Severance, writing for Invincible. And Severance, right? If you've seen the show, it's a very serious and very good drama, and it's live action, right? So we kind of have writers from live action. We treat it almost like a live action TV show, right? And then there's superheroes involved. It's more about like a family dynamic show in the guise of a superhero genre, right? And then you mix the two together. It's like watching The Boys, right? Why is The Boys different from like Batman, Superman, and other stuff, right? Because they show the other side of being a superhero. How do they get through their daily life? How do they struggle with like relationships, right? So the reason Invincible is like that is because they had like a family dynamic, right? There's mom who is a human, and there's Mark who is a teenager, right? And then the dad is like turned out to be a crazy super villain who's trying to do what's right. It's like, okay, are you gonna do what's right for your race, or are you gonna do what's right for your family? So this kind of like a character conflict makes the show very interesting to watch. Versus other shows like, oh, bad guy shows up, you beat them up, save the day, and then we're like, hey, roller coaster ride's over, and then you just like forget everything that you just watched, right?
Was that the first time you worked for Amazon Studios?
I think it was Skybound is the studio.
Oh, Skybound.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Skybound was the animation production company, and also the headed by the original the comic book writer Robert Kirkman. He's the owner of the studio, I think. But yeah, that was fun. They try. You know what I found was really interesting is all the merchandise they're making for the show. Everything from coffee mugs to T-shirts to like figurines and toys. Yeah, when the show gets really popular, they want to merchandise, right? Sell
Yeah, and that's where
merchandise.
they make a lot of money.
They also just revealed the video game for Invincible
Oh.
recently. It looked like Mortal Kombat. There's lots of blood and gore, which also happens in the show.
Wow. Wow. Let me look this up. Invincible video. I saw an app game. I don't know if you're talking about the same one. Let's see if you're.
Oh, it's not the app game. It's actually a console game. It's called Invincible vs. VS.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah,
Wow. That
let's
looks
take a
pretty
look. Let's
epic.
all watch that together because I've seen the storyboards. It's so incredible, and then they
Wow.
turn out to be 3D.
That's amazing that they're creating a video game.
Hmm.
Wow. Oh, this gonna look good. Yeah, like you said, it looks like Mortal Kombat. The reason I'm not sharing it is just because if it does have blood, I don't want YouTube to think, oh, I'm sharing blood. Oh, wow. It's like there's a little bit of 3D animation in this. Oh, yeah, exactly. It looks a lot like a Street Fighter or a Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoa. Okay. All right. That's pretty cool. And it's three versus three tag team type of fighting.
Oh yeah, I actually got to test play it while I was at the studio. Am I allowed to say that? But yeah, I got to play it. It was pretty fun. It's pretty fun. But it was just if you can win the game by button mash a lot, you can't do that in real fights. So but,
Yeah, exactly. In real fights, if you button mash, you'll hit yourself.
you don't button mash in a real fight.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. That's cool. So let's talk a little bit about your teaching in animation and
Oh,
storyboarding. When did you decide to do that?
a good question. Good question. Because someone emailed me. He's like a super popular online artist. His name is San. If you're in the art industry, you know his name pretty well. So we know each other since like this Deviant Art days, before this Instagram and all that stuff. It was Deviant Art. It's like the online art hub where everybody sees everyone's work, right? So at that time we were pretty young, probably in our 20s or something. Like, hey, you make cool stuff. Hey, you make cool stuff, right? And then years later, he was already teaching at this place called CG Spectrum, which I teach now. And they were like, we need someone that the kids would find interesting to learn from. And he has a anime background as a good that IMDb is gonna impress the kids to sign up to our school or something along that line, right? And then San hit me up. Hey, do you want to teach part time? It's better than just taking freelance every once in a while. So the teaching gig has been pretty steady in this chaotic time. So I get to teach kids about how to do what I do. And part of teaching is how do you explain why do you do what do you do, right? And it's quite the humbling experience because you have to be super patient with the student because not everyone will get it right away. Some students are really have good intuition and they understood with the material after you explain it like maybe twice or three times. The other student there might be a little more stubborn and you have to like, hey, stop driving to the wrong direction. I have to steer their steering wheel to go back on course. And then there's also students who's like adults that have jobs and they can't really commit to a 10 to 20 hour homework assignment, right? So these students have to be mindful and also be sympathetic, right, to their situation because I can't just go like, why don't you do your assignment? Why don't you do a good job? Like I was explaining 50 times. No, absolutely not. You have to like, okay, so why don't we instead of shooting for quantity, let's shoot for quality, okay? Instead of animating a whole 30-second thing, I only need like 10 to 15 seconds, but do a really good job and apply all the technique I've shown you in class, right? So that's another aspect of people management skills. Yeah, there we go. People management skills and communication. That is something I didn't have when I was being just an artist because I just like, okay, here's the script, here you go, bye. And then 2, 3 weeks later, okay, here you go, then you change this, keep this, change that, and then okay, bye. And then I don't talk to nobody for another 3 weeks. So yeah, and being a teacher actually is very good for your own learning experience too. So because in the beginning I was talking about comedy, right? And most of my work involves action shows. But just recently, I think I started watching comedy shows, anywhere from the Holy Grail, and then there's the but Tropic Thunder is a funny one, right? And then there's Zoolander. I've never watched Zoolander in a million years until recently because I was more about the serious cinema guy. Only watches like Scorsese, Francois Truffaut, and all that Criterion stuff. And now I started watching comedy shows because I have to teach the material too, right? So by watching it myself, like, and I get a laugh out of the movie that I watch, like, hey, that was pretty funny. Like, how is this so funny? Why is it so funny? Right? So you start thinking about it and implement it. Also, what can I use in this movie that I can teach to my students? Right? So it's like, okay, I'm like getting the gist of what I'm watching, and then not just for the entertainment value, but also for the learning experience too. So that also helped me get diversify my skill. I hate the word diversify. Sounds like I'm like a banker or something. But like spread out your knowledge and learn more things. Learn more things. Right? Don't want to be stuck only doing one thing only. Like there'll be a day where nobody hires action guys. Right? There'll be a day where no one's doing any comedy shows. So if you can do more than one thing, there's more chance for you to find work somewhere, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And what is next for you? I said, what genres might you want to get into? What other things artistically / business wise are you getting into? Tell me about that.
On the personal side, or you talk about art, right? So I want to get into screenwriting, which I did for a while. So while I was working for Sony, I was taking a writing classes at UCLA. They have this extension program. You had to submit a few pages of script, and then you can choose one of the two things. You're either going for writing for comedy or you're writing for drama, one or the other. And then you spend 9 months writing 3 scripts with 3 different instructors. And yeah, because when you are becoming a storyboard artist, you look at the script, right? When you are an animator, you look at the storyboards. When you are a writer, you look at a blank page. There's nothing there. You have to create everything from nothing. So that is like a completely different new challenge for me. Yeah, so there'll be days I have nothing to write until nighttime. I just stare at the blank page, and then the thing just blinkers, blinks at you. Or like, what do I write, right? So the whole process into constructing a story, right? So and then it teaches you to be analytical a bit about the shows you watch, like what makes this show good, right? And then I was fully invested in the writing process, reading how to write, and then writing in the night, and then learning in the classroom lectures. So every show there's a writer's room, right? Okay. So there's a head writer, there's the writers, and then there's someone who's like a script coordinator. Okay. The head writer have a general direction of like the overall seasonal arc, right? And then the writers, they might like, hey, you do episode 1, you do episode 2, you write episode 3. Okay, and every episode has its own arc, and it's a plot in the overall seasonal arc, right? So you write in the writer room, and then you discuss ideas. And then the one thing that was super mandatory in the classroom setting, that was before pre-COVID. We still actually have to go inside a classroom and then participate. Okay, so everyone has to read everyone else's script and then has to point out what they felt wasn't working and then provide a solution to that problem. You can't just say, "Oh, I didn't like that part. It sucked." Like, how would you fix it, man? You're like, what would you do to help make it better, right? And then sometimes the solution is good. Sometimes the solution wasn't good, but it's still input, right? So in the real writer's room, everyone has to communicate their ideas and then see and everyone share like what's working, what's not. And then the coordinator will like write down all the notes in the direction. It's like the drawing part, but in words. I would say it's quite interesting because I never thought I would actually write like a 50-page script from beginning to end, act one, two, three, four, five. But it's so rewarding, man. It's so rewarding because you're both the car and the driver. Right? You are both the car and the driver. So yeah, creatively challenging, but immensely satisfying. Even if the script you wrote is a piece of turd, at least it's your piece of turd. You know? So yeah, that was a great learning experience.
I like that they made it very clear that you can't just nitpick or find flaws. You have to find solutions. That
Yeah,
was very good. I took a screenwriting class in college and there was no find solutions for any flaws. So I like that. That's like an extra level.
yeah, definitely. Because on the job too, you can't just say, "Oh, this doesn't work." Like, how would you fix it?
Yeah.
And if you can fix it and make it better, that means you're an asset to the team, right?
Yeah.
If you are the guy who only create problem, you might get chopped at the end, right? So it's helpful in both ways, and also teaches you what it's like to be a writer. That stuff they think about when you read the script, and like, oh, okay, that's what the writer could possibly be thinking about, like the subtext and the characters' motives and the overall arc and the theme of the episode, not just like A happens, B happens, and then C happens, right? So that's a big plus. If anything, I would go back to school and learn screenwriting some more.
A little story I'll tell people. It's just that I was working on this movie back in the day, and there was I wasn't even supposed to do this, but it happened that nobody else found a solution, so I found a solution. But basically, the setup was there was like two sentences that an actor just couldn't get. He did at least 50 takes, and he couldn't get those two sentences, and no one was stepping in to. So I was like, I just sort of on the spot rewrote the line for him, but nobody said anything. And obviously everyone was like frustrated. So I was like, okay, how about this? Try this. And I rewrote the line. I turned it into not just one sentence. I turned it into two little fragments.
Yeah,
So instead of two sentences, it was like 4 words basically. And it helped. He got the line within 5 more takes.
yeah,
So that's an example. I never thought about it until Ben mentioned it. Like I solved an issue, right? And so
yeah,
that's an example of what they're trying to build in the screenwriting course. It's like, okay, if you as the person reading Ben's script thinks 2 lines are awkward, then you fix it. You
Yeah.
fix it. And I sort of did that naturally, but it was out of necessity because it was like he was holding up the shoot. He like it was at least 50 takes and he just couldn't get it. It was like ridiculous.
yeah. Be a problem solver can take you a long way. That goes for any profession. I think that's a good skill to have.
Ben, share your screen. Let's see what your drawing's at now.
Okay, I did some more composition that I thought was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. So let's see what Ben's got now, because Ben and I have probably talked for another half an hour. So let's see. Oh, look at that. The
So I like this
evolution.
one. This one's look cool. This one look okay.
Uh-huh.
I'll just trying different shapes. They're like Lego blocks, right?
Yeah.
This might go like this. Do it like
And all of them are still 1-point perspective, right?
yeah. It's
Mhm.
easy and simple. You don't have to go crazy.
Yeah. In Europe, and if this is too complicated, feel free. We'll do another talk on this. When would you use a 3-point or a 2-point perspective?
Oh, that's easy. So in storyboarding, there are shots called dynamic shots, and then there's shots called cinematic shots, right?
Oh.
Dynamic shots has more to do with the camera angle, and cinematic shots has to do with the mood, right? So cinematic shots will be like a big sun is setting in the background, and some guy is riding a horse, and it's like it's sunset, and the horse is jogging along, and then there's like bush flying by in the foreground, right?
Yeah.
Right, that would be a cinematic shot. A dynamic shot would be like someone is jumping from a rooftop, and then it's from the 3-story building, right? This will be a building, and then that's not building. It's an up shot, and the character dives down head first, right? And then their feet are up into the air, right? And then the hair is falling. Right? That would be a dynamic shot. Or if someone is talking and that it's like super up shot like this.
Wow.
And then they have hair blowing in the wind. Like, I will kill you now. So this will be a dynamic scene. This will be more like a cinematic scene.
I see. So the cinematic is 1 point perspective. The one where he's falling is 3 point perspective, right? And then the one where the guy's holding a sword, that's also
that's 3 point perspective, but also a Dutch angle when you tilt the camera a little bit to the side. That's called a Dutch shot.
Okay.
Right? In horror movies, they have those like dark hallways, right? And then you have like a big shadow coming into the doorway, and then all this is covered in dark, right? And then the person, who's there? That would be like a Dutch angle.
Oh, so that's a Dutch angle, and that's still a 3 point perspective.
Yeah, you can have like this 2, 1, 2, and then 3.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I guess what I'm really learning from you is that if you want a really good sense of like depth, right, 3 point perspective is the way to go.
Yeah, but also if you want to get into the nitty gritty, you can create depth by using scale too. Right? This is a building, and then another building, and then Godzilla comes in, and right? And then you see a rooftop, and the person is like this big. So that shows scale, but also have a little bit of a depth too.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow, look at that. So cool. So cool. Wow. Okay. Oh, by the way, since you mentioned Sony was after DreamWorks?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Oh no, Sony was after Warner Brothers.
Oh, you're at Warner Brothers too. Wow, you've done all.
I don't even know what studio I worked at anymore. It's all just like a blur.
What did you work on at Warner Brothers?
A bunch of stuff. It was like this Batman direct to video. Like it was a reference to like a 70s kung fu movie. One of the characters is like Bruce Lee, so that was pretty funny. Yeah, I got to draw Batman.
Wow, that's so cool. Wow, so you've been at DreamWorks, Warner Brothers, Sony, Marvel, let's see, Nickelodeon.
Oh.
Wow. Wow, okay. Do you have like a dream show or like a dream type of thing you want to do, or have you done it already?
A dream show will be something like Cowboy Bebop type of event sci-fi thing. I'm pretty interested in science fiction right now. And also writing my own sci-fi.
Yeah, your script is science fiction. Exactly.
Yeah, one of my pilots I wrote in writing class is science fiction.
Yeah. Wow. Last question. People who want to get into whether storyboarding or animation or this side of things, hand-drawn or 3D animation, what is some advice or what is something you wish you knew when you first started?
I think connections online, because online is very big, and put your work out there. And then sometimes you might think that your work is poop, right? But other people might think it's really good, right? So if you don't put it out there, no one will know. And then you won't be able to track your own progress that way, right? So it's always good to have like, hey, this is what I did like 2 years ago. This is what I can do now. So that's good progress. And 2 is a small community. If you're really good, people will find you, but that takes time, right? And then you can begin some kind of like professional friendship with the other people in the industry. Like I tell my students, you like a show, right? Go watch the credits and find out who did what. And if you want to learn storyboards, 9 out of 10 times, the storyboard artist in the credits will have some kind of social media thing that you can find. And if you want to learn that I want to learn storyboarding, here's what I can do right now. Can you take a look at it, give me some feedback, right? Or you can take one of my classes and then I'll be like, hey, this is what it's more of a direct one-on-one interaction with like an actual professional artist. Because you can have a group of friends and all of you guys just draw Dragon Ball Z fan art. It's not gonna get you to work on Dragon Ball Z, you know. So that's a difference. I like they look like corn dogs.
One thing I will take a little bit of credit for is I kept telling Ben, I said, look, you got to get on Instagram. And Ben listened to me eventually. I kept telling him, dude, you got to put yourself out there. I'm sure other people told him too, but I take some credit. I kept pestering him. I was like, Ben, you got to get your stuff out there.
I couldn't even come up with the hashtags. You need at least 5 hashtags, like drawing head. What else do I got to put on there?
Yeah, but now you're good, man. Let me just show everyone, since we're at it, let me just show everyone Ben's Instagram. It's still Better Line Works, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, it's a good topic. Why is it called Better Line Works?
Because great with line works and not painting. So that's why, and also it's my initials. So I see all sorts of stuff out there. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's the mostly I've taken down a lot of finished illustrations. I can send you the my other Kara. So this is mostly for sketches and like line works, obviously, right? So my other one has the finished illustration is Kara, which is something they do. They have technology that gives your artwork a type of filter or something. So when AI try to adapt it for their prompts, the image comes out looking like something else.
Oh,
Like,
that's cool.
So let me share with you something, my other website. So this is my Kara account.
Oh, wow.
It's like everything that goes from like paintings to finished illustrations. This one was for like what HyperX, that headphone gaming apparel thing, and they have all these influencers playing their video games, whatnot. Try to make it into their merchandise. This is animation from it's like 2010. Oh no,
What?
2020. No, wait, 2000. Yeah, 2010. 2010. This show called Black Dynamite.
So you worked on Black Dynamite?
The pilot. So
wow, dude, Black Dynamite's an epic show.
Yeah, and then this is for Space Dandy on Adult Swim. Did one episode. It's like, yeah,
whoa.
No sleep, all drawing, no sleep. That was fun. This is illustration I did for my fighter friends, and they actually walk out into the octagon wearing my shirt. That was pretty dope.
That's so cool.
Oh yeah, my friend Gilbert, he actually has the one championship contract, so he's fighting for one now.
Wow.
Jake Ramirez just turned pro earlier this year. This guy is Brando Mendoza, is a world champion in Muay Thai. And then this guy named is Kevin, who I met through another friend who's a professional boxer, who's also actually Chinese too. So anyway, more people I met. It's pretty interesting. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We'll stop.
Yeah, that's amazing. You got a lot of good stuff going on. You got we should definitely do more talks, man. This was so fun.
Yeah, this is interesting to me too, because I don't feel like it's a formal interview in any way. I can just like doodle and draw and talk about things that are interesting to me and why I do what I do. Sometimes, like anything, you get bored or you get burned out, right? Like all you do is one thing all the time, you get burned out. So it's always good to branch out. The word is branch out. So that's more fun. And yeah, and then you can always come back and re-engage the creative drive and then have something meaningful to draw.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Sort of what Ben said. I mean, one of the things I did in 2020 while we were all stuck inside was I created this channel to interview people. And I'm like, how do I feel inspired again? Well, this channel inspired me a lot back in 2020. So let me re-engage it. Let me not rebuild it, but let me keep building it. Right. And it's like this is exactly why this channel had viewers and gave me that love, because I get to talk to people about what they do and live vicariously through them. Like some people aren't about that, but I love that. I love that. That's what got me to always be a fan of journalism, right? You just tell people stories. And so, I mean, just seeing you draw and seeing you illustrate an example of 3-point perspective just on the fly, that was so cool. That was so cool. Yeah. Because I took a drawing class from Coursera, was it, or something? So obviously that's different, right? Like, and I've forgotten. And then I had this book called Perspective Made Easy. Let me see if it's here. Give me 1 second. It looks like I didn't bring that book back. I gave that book to my roommates, but I had this book on perspectives and it taught about it, but I brought back 2 books that I didn't read. Like one day, like I have it in my list to study more of this stuff. Like it can only help me better frame my shots, better tell stories as a YouTuber. This is also a promise to myself and to viewers that I'm going to slowly start studying this stuff too. So
I got plenty of art books.
I should have gotten some recommendations from you, man. I should have. Well, I can still get recommendations. I guess, okay, since we're at it, for people who want to study this stuff, what do you recommend? I'm going to write these down.
Oh, if you want to take my class, I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah. How do we find your class, by the way?
Oh, it's, my website is betterlineworks.com. Haven't updated in a little bit, but there's still people like signing up for my one-on-one. It's like take it, learn it at your own pace. Right? For drawing, I recommend Force. Let me see. There it is. This book called Force. Oh shoot! It's there we go. It's called Force. Can you see it? Okay.
Okay. Force. Oh, Force.
Force. Dynamic figure drawing. Okay. Lots of lines and curves about the energy of the pose and not like anatomy. So less anatomy, more interesting drawings. For writing, I recommend the Story Solution. That's the writing book, Story Solution. This guy also have lots of YouTube clip on Studio Binder's channel to talk about character development and storytelling. For animation, Fooly Cooly Groundworks book. I ate it for breakfast every single morning. Okay, so that'll teach you a lot how to do action stuff. And then if you want more serious, I would recommend this is my gem. Ghost in the Shell Groundworks book. I don't know if you can see it, but it's this way. That's the back. This is the front. Ghost in the Shell Groundwork book. Okay. Whoop. Do the camera trick. Okay. There you go. Yay. Okay. So it actually shows you the drawing from the movie that you can flip through. It's like, oh my God, the detail is so immense and it's so cool, and just re-engages my creative brain to draw more stuff.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. Guys, for those of you who see this now or later, make sure to leave your questions in the comments. And obviously, you can go to Ben's website and sign up for a class with him. That would probably be the easiest way to get your questions answered. But if I do a talk in the future with him, maybe we'll answer some of your questions too.
Yeah, that might be cool.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone, this was Ben. and I'm sure we will bring him back. And whenever he's working on something really cool and he can talk about it, we will talk about it.
Yeah, next time we'll talk about fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, thank you so much, Jared. That's been fun. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, and I'll see you when you get back.